Complete works of Swami Vivekananda. Raja Yoga. Chapter 8. Raja Yoga in brief. The following is a summary of Raja Yoga freely translated from the Karma Purana. The fire of yoga burns the cage of sin that is around a man. Knowledge becomes purified and nirvana is directly obtained. From yoga comes knowledge, knowledge again helps the yogi. He who combines in himself both yoga and knowledge, with him the Lord is pleased. Those that practice Mahayoga, either once a day, or twice a day, or thrice, or always, know them to be gods. Yoga is divided into two parts. One is called Abhava, and the other Mahayoga, where oneself is meditated upon as zero, and bereft of quality, that is called Abhava. That in which one sees the self as full of bliss and bereft of all impurities, and one with God, is called Mahayoga. The yogi, by each one, realizes his self. The other yogas that we read and hear of, do not deserve to be ranked with the excellent Mahayoga in which the yogi finds himself and the whole universe as God. This is the highest of all yogas. Yama, Nama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi are the steps in Raja Yoga, of which non-injury, truthfulness, non-covetousness, chastity, not receiving anything from another are called Yama. This purifies the mind, the chitta. Never producing pain by thought, word, and deed, in any living being, is what is called ahimsa, non-injury. There is no virtue higher than non-injury. There is no happiness higher than what a man obtains by this attitude of non-offensiveness to all creation. By truth we attain fruits of work. Through truth everything is attained. In truth everything is established. Relating facts as they are, this is truth. Not taking others' goods by stealth or by force, is called astya, non-covetousness. Chastity in thought, word, and deed, always, and in all conditions, is what is called brahmacharya. Not receiving any present from anybody, even when one is suffering terribly, is what is called aparigraha. The idea is, when a man receives a gift from another, his heart becomes impure, he becomes low, he loses his independence. He becomes bound and attached. The following are helps to success in yoga and are called nama or regular habits and observances, tapas, austerity, svadhyaya, study, santosha, contentment, shoka, purity, ishvara pranana, worshipping God. Fasting, or in other ways controlling the body, is called physical tapas. Repeating the Vedas and other mantras, by which the sattva material in the body is purified, is called study, svadhyaya. There are three sorts of repetitions of these mantras. One is called the verbal, another semi-verbal, and the third mental. The verbal or audible is the lowest, and the inaudible is the highest of all. The repetition which is loud is the verbal. The next one is where only the lips move, but no sound is heard. The inaudible repetition of the mantra, accompanied with the thinking of its meaning, is called the mental repetition, and is the highest. The sages have said that there are two sorts of purification, external and internal. The purification of the body by water, earth, or other materials is the external purification, as bathing etc. Purification of the mind by truth, and by all the other virtues, is what is called internal purification. Both are necessary. It is not sufficient that a man should be internally pure and externally dirty. When both are not attainable, the internal purity is the better, but no one will be a yogi until he has both. Worship of God is by praise, by thought, by devotion. We have spoken about yama and nama. The next is asana, posture. The only thing to understand about it is leaving the body free, holding the chest, shoulders, and head straight. Then comes pranayama. Prana means the vital forces in one's own body, ayama means controlling them. There are three sorts of pranayama, the very simple, the middle, and the very high. Pranayama is divided into three parts: filling, restraining, and emptying. When you begin with 12 seconds it is the lowest pranayama, when you begin with 24 seconds it is the middle pranayama, that pranayama is the best, which begins with 36 seconds. In the lowest kind of pranayama there is perspiration, in the medium kind, quivering of the body, and in the highest pranayama levitation of the body and influx of great bliss. There is a mantra called the Gayatri. It is a very holy verse of the Vedas. We meditate on the glory of that being who has produced this universe, may he enlighten our minds. Om is joined to it at the beginning and the end. In one pranayama repeat 3 Gayatris. In all books they speak of pranayama being divided into rechaka, rejecting or exhaling, paraka, inhaling, and kumaka, restraining, stationary. The indriyas, the organs of the senses, are acting outwards and coming in contact with external objects. Bringing them under the control of the will is what is called pratyahara, or gathering towards oneself. Fixing the mind on the lotus of the heart, or on the center of the head, is what is called dharana. Limited to one spot, making that spot the base, a particular kind of mental waves rises. These are not swallowed up by other kinds of waves, but by degrees become prominent, while all the others recede and finally disappear. Next, the multiplicity of these waves gives place to unity, and one wave only is left in the mind. This is dhyana, meditation. When no basis is necessary, when the whole of the mind has become one wave, one formedness, it is called samadhi. Bereft of all help from places and centers, only the meaning of the thought is present. If the mind can be fixed on the center for 12 seconds it will be a dharana, 12 such dharanas will be a dhyana, and 12 such dhyanas will be a samadhi. Where there is fire, or in water, or on ground which is strewn with dry leaves, where there are many ant hills, where there are wild animals, or danger, where 4 streets meet, where there is too much noise, where there are many wicked persons, yoga must not be practiced. This applies more particularly to India. Do not practice when the body feels very lazy or ill, or when the mind is very miserable and sorrowful. Go to a place which is well hidden, and where people do not come to disturb you. Do not choose dirty places. Rather choose beautiful scenery, or a room in your own house which is beautiful. When you practice, first salute all the ancient yogis, and your own guru, and God, and then begin. Dhyana is spoken of, and a few examples are given of what to meditate upon. Sit straight, and look at the tip of your nose. Later on we shall come to know how that concentrates the mind, how by controlling the 2 optic nerves, one advances a long way towards the control of the arc of reaction, and so to the control of the will. Here are a few specimens of meditation. Imagine a lotus upon the top of the head, several inches up, with virtue as its center, and knowledge as its stalk. The 8 petals of the lotus are the 8 powers of the yogi. Inside, the stamens and pistils are enunciation. If the yogi refuses the external powers he will come to salvation. So the 8 petals of the lotus are the 8 powers, but the internal stamens and pistils are extreme renunciation, the renunciation of all these powers. Inside of that lotus think of the Golden One, the Almighty, the intangible, he whose name is Om, the inexpressible, surrounded with effulgent light. Meditate on that. Another meditation is given. Think of a space in your heart, and in the midst of that space think that a flame is burning. Think of that flame as your own soul, and inside the flame is another effulgent light, and that is the soul of your soul, God. Meditate upon that in the heart. Chastity, non-injury, forgiving even the greatest enemy, truth, faith in the Lord, these are all different vrittis. Be not afraid if you are not perfect in all of these. Work, they will come. He who has given up all attachment, all fear, and all anger, he whose whole soul has gone unto the Lord, he who has taken refuge in the Lord, whose heart has become purified, with whatsoever desire he comes to the Lord, he will grant that to him. Therefore worship him through knowledge, love, or renunciation. He who hates none, who is the friend of all, who is merciful to all, who has nothing of his own, who is free from egoism, who is even-minded in pain and pleasure, who is forbearing, who is always satisfied, who works always in yoga, whose self has become controlled, whose will is firm, whose mind and intellect are given up unto me, such a one is my beloved Bhakta, from whom comes no disturbance, who cannot be disturbed by others, who is free from joy, anger, fear, and anxiety, such a one is my beloved. He who does not depend on anything, who is pure and active, who does not care whether good comes or evil, and never becomes miserable, who has given up all efforts for himself, who is the same in praise or in blame, with a silent, thoughtful mind, blessed with what little comes in his way, homeless, for the whole world is his home, and who is steady in his ideas, such a one is my beloved Bhakta. Such alone become yogis. There was a great god sage called Narada. Just as there are sages among mankind, great yogis, so there are great yogis among the gods. Narada was a good yogi, and very great. He traveled everywhere. One day he was passing through a forest, and saw a man who had been meditating until the white ants had built a huge mound round his body, so long had he been sitting in that position. He said to Narada, "Where are you going?" Narada replied, "I am going to heaven." "Then ask God when he will be merciful to me, when I shall attain freedom." Further on Narada saw another man. He was jumping about, singing, dancing, and said, "Oh, Narada, where are you going?" His voice and his gestures were wild. Narada said, "I am going to heaven." "Then, ask when I shall be free." Narada went on. In the course of time he came again by the same road, and there was the man who had been meditating with the anthill round him. He said, "Oh, Narada, did you ask the Lord about me?" "Oh, yes." "What did he say?" "The Lord told me that you would attain freedom in 4 more births." Then the man began to weep and wail, and said, "I have meditated until an anthill has grown around me, and I have 4 more births yet." Narada went to the other man. "Did you ask my question?" "Oh, yes." "Do you see this tamarind tree? I have to tell you that as many leaves as there are on that tree, so many times you shall be born, and then you shall attain freedom." The man began to dance for joy, and said, "I shall have freedom after such a short time." A voice came, "My child, you will have freedom this minute." That was the reward for his perseverance. He was ready to work through all those births, nothing discouraged him. But the first man felt that even 4 more births were too long. Only perseverance, like that of the man who was willing to wait eons, brings about the highest result.